Happy Friday. Let's go ahead and come in. Let's get today started off with a little bit of music. Gonna get today started. I want to talk about leadership today. You all know that's what we're doing. We're going in heavy, talking about leadership. So let's get started with a little bit of music today. Yes, we know Drake just released a new mixtape. Everybody, welcome in. Happy Friday. Drake released a new mixtape. That's not what we're playing right now. Yeah. We're talking leadership lessons. Come on in. Welcome. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. Yep. Okay, cool. Drake, you had your time. Drake. Get out of here. Get out of here, Drake. Everybody, want to welcome you today to this lunchtime live. We're talking about leadership like we always do. And today I want to focus just on this question. Are you leading with the glass, or are you leading with a mirror? Right? And the reason I want to ask that question is because there's a lot of people in whatever space you're in. I partner working with student athletes, so college athletics. But if you're in corporate, if you're a banker, if you're a parent, if you're a coach, whatever lane you're in, whatever thing it is that you do, I want to just pose the question, like, are you leading with the mirror? Or are you leading with a magnifying glass? John, why are you asking that, John? Why are we talking about mirrors? Why are we talking about magnifying glasses? And the reason I wanted to ask that, I lost my markers. Gabby, can you bring me a marker? Because when it comes to true leadership, and it comes to getting to, can you bring me a marker? We have to have our markers, because if we don't have our markers, we can never write on our board. If we can't write on our board, then we can't really break down and explain the lesson the way we want to. But we have to always have the tools that we need. Thank you. Oh, sorry. To be truly successful. So here we go. I want to break this down and make it plain for us today. I'm going to divide the board up. Woo. Okay, we're going to go mirror. That's first. We got the mirror. Boom. Now on the other side, we're going to go magnify. So we got the mirror on one side. We got the magnifying glass on the other side. So we want to begin to ask ourselves, because going into the Disney movie, we know, mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the prettiest of them all? We talk about mirror. A mirror shows us a reflection. Reflection. I hold the mirror up. I see everything. I see that I have glasses on. I see that I have hair. So a mirror, I see exactly the direct reflection of what I'm looking at right here with the mirror. So reflection. A magnifying glass. What does a magnifying glass show us? Makes bigger. Magnifying glass makes things bigger, makes everything bigger. We're just going to stay right here with it. When you lead with a mirror, you lead with what people see. So if we go the law of reciprocity, then we go from, if I give, then I can expect to see other people give as well. This is leading with the mirror. We do a response that we'll expect to see in return. When it goes to a magnifying glass, when you can't see something that's small, you look through the magnifying glass and then it makes it bigger. So if you lead with a magnifying glass, we're not talking about giving to other people, but it just magnifies, like I said, it makes bigger. So it magnifies who you are. So understanding that, it's like, okay, well, what do we want to make bigger? Let's say somebody makes a mistake. And you're leading with a magnifying glass. Somebody makes a mistake. So now with the magnifying glass, the mistake is going to be multiplied. So we'll say times 2. I wanted to come on talk about leading with a magnifying glass or leading with a mirror. And the principle I wanted to get to here is this right here. Smaller board. The principle I truly want to get to is allowing, not necessarily allowing, but normalizing mistakes. Normalizing mistakes. Normalizing mistakes. How do you normalize mistakes? Coming from a place of leadership, how do you normalize mistakes? If you're a boss, or if you're a coach, or if you're CEO, whatever your title may be, you normalize mistakes by letting people know, man, when I was in college, I made the same mistake just like you did. When I was your age, I did some silly things too. Gino, what's going on, bro? Najee, what's going on, bro? So normalizing mistakes, this creates a place for growth. Because think, if you normalize someone's mistake, then they're like, oh, wow, I don't feel like that you're coming down on me. Wow, I don't feel like you're beating me up, because you're showing me that you've made mistakes in your life as well. You've shown me that you've fallen as well. You've shown me that you're not perfect. So normalizing mistakes is huge in leadership, because if we never normalize mistakes, then we'll make it seem as if we're up here, elevated on a platform, and then the person you're speaking to is down here. So everything you're saying is you're talking down. It's condescending. But when you normalize mistakes, you let them know that you all both are on the same playing field. You let them know that they're human, so are you. So that's why we normalize mistakes. Because we all make mistakes. We all grow through. We all are getting older. Like nobody's perfect. Nobody's arrived. So we have to normalize mistakes and let them know that, but while also normalizing mistakes. We have to give grace. You are, if you're college, if you're in the professional arena, there's going to be some days where you just don't hit the mark. There's going to be some days where you just can't be successful because you forgot your presentation. There's going to be something where you slip up. for some reason, you can't just get it all together that one day. So we have to give grace, because no one is perfect. Truly, no one is perfect. And understanding that, we have to normalize the mistake. We have to give grace. But lastly, we always have to make it a point to redeem themselves. Like once. Like at least once. Give somebody a chance to redeem themselves. John, how can I give somebody a chance to redeem themselves? If I'm in a leadership position, what do I do to give them a chance to redeem themselves? The best way I can say it is this. Ownership. We have to allow people to have ownership. Ownership in their lives, but not just ownership in their lives. Ownership if we say that we're leaning on somebody and they messed up. They didn't prepare the presentation like they're supposed to. Give them opportunity to do a presentation the following week. Give them opportunity to redeem their way. Because let me go right here. Redemption. So we talked about redemption. We talked about giving grace. We talked about normalizing mistake. But then lastly is ownership. Normalize the mistake. Give grace. Give them an opportunity to redeem themselves. And then lastly, ownership. A lot of times people don't want to go all the way in because they don't feel like they're a part of the team. Feel like they're a part of it. Yeah. Just like on teams, there's captains. Just like in administration, there's coaches, there's principals. People have ownership. Ownership is somebody's a captain up here, and then they delegate tasks to other people. When you delegate a task, that's creating a level of ownership. Curtis, what's going on, my brother? I hope you and your family are well also. So we have to create ownership. We create ownership by delegating tasks. We create ownership by giving people opportunity to redeem themselves. But we want to make sure that we always give grace. Because when we were in this person's shoes, I guarantee we made a mistake. When we were in this person's shoes, I guarantee that we didn't get it all right. And we have to normalize the mistake. When you create, I want to go back and just talk about that a little bit more. And then we're going to wrap it up today on today's lunchtime leadership lesson. And if anybody has any questions, chime in and ask your question. Chime in. But normalizing the mistake, right? Normalize the mistake. Normalize the mistake. Why? Why do we normalize the mistake? Somebody might ask, John, why normalize the mistake? How does that make sense? Why do we even normalize the mistake? We normalize the mistake because as we create a culture, thank you, Gino, I appreciate that. As we create a culture, we're not saying that the culture is about perfection. We're not saying the culture is about perfection. So we mark that from the culture. Okay, that's first. Then we normalize the mistake because we're saying in this culture, we give room to fail. This is a message all by itself. When you give room to fail, the opportunity for unlimited growth, for unlimited potential. You give the room to fail. Man, look, let me talk. Man, hold on. Oh, let me talk to y'all a little bit deeper. I'm going to switch the board on this one. Because when you give room to fail, this is what it looks like, okay? I might have to do another broadcast on this itself. Let's just talk about it, man. Let's just talk about imagination for a second, okay? Imagination station. Here we go. John, why are you talking about imagination, and why does that even matter? When you have imagination, what you don't see is this. When you have an imagination, you don't see failure. Okay? When you have an imagination, you don't see failure. And if you don't see failure, you don't see fear. Man, this is good. You have an imagination, so you don't see failure. You have an imagination, so you don't see fear. John, what does that mean? Let me bring it full circle for you. So that means that one thing that's clear more than anything else would be just this. If you have an imagination, you don't see failure, you don't see fear. That means all you see is success. I want you all really to get that. Imagine if in your mind, the only thing that you can think of was creating a successful business. Imagine if in your mind, the only thing that you could possibly see is thriving in life. Imagine if in your mind you woke up and you were like, man, the bills are already paid. I'm going to pay the bill. You don't have to worry about not being able to pay the bills, not getting to a space, into a place to where you can't provide for your family, but success. And the reason why people fail in life, the reason why people fail in life is this reason right here. If we broke it down, okay, and we broke it down to success and we broke it down to failure. If we broke life down to just these two things, success and failure, if that's what we broke life down to, and that's all that it was one or the other. We're either going to succeed or we're going to fail. If we just broke life down to these two things, and you said, John, what do you think more people are going to do? Are more people going to succeed or are more people going to fail? Then the question would lie. I mean, the answer would lie right here between these two lines. Between these two lines, the answer would lie. And my friends, it would be plain and simple as this. It would be a split. And the reason it would be a split is because it would get to the place on where you focus your energy, where you focus your ability, where you focus applying effort to. When you begin to say, oh, I can't do that. That's applying energy to failure. When you begin to say, oh, I'm going to thrive today. That applies to success. So plain and simply put, wherever you apply your energy will determine the motion that you go. And it really is that simple. It's plain and simply that simple, because the more you begin to feed the success of your mind, reading books, listening to podcasts, watching interviews, watching documentaries, the more you begin to see how successful people were a success, that will apply arrows and energy going upward. The more you do habits that unsuccessful people do, just Netflix and just watching movies. And don't get me wrong, nothing's wrong with watching movies. Nothing's wrong with people hanging out with their friends, playing the game. I'm not against either. I'm not against you going to a concert and dancing. But ultimately, it comes down to where most of your energy are, where you apply most of your energy and your effort. And we have 24 hours in a day, and you do need to sleep. And sleeping 8 hours would go towards success, because that's energy well spent. Because now when you wake up, you can think clearer. Now when you wake up and you feel like dancing, this is self-care, because you're allowing yourself to do things that successful people do. So today, I really just wanted to hop in for this lunchtime lesson. And earlier, I started off asking, are you leading with a magnifying glass, or are you leading with a mirror? Got my mirror right here. And I wanted to just break down the way that we approach certain things. The points that I had initially were these. We normalize the mistake in leadership so that people see we're on the same plane, that we were in the same position. The second, I said, you give them grace, because you don't do everything right all the time. You're not perfect. But lastly, second to last, you give somebody opportunity to redeem themselves. Allow them to redeem themselves. Too often we try to discredit somebody for something. Let them redeem themselves. But then with that redemption, there comes ownership. To whom much is given, much is required. So therefore, we create ownership. Ownership is saying, I'm the boss. I delegate a task to you. You have to carry out that task. So boom, ownership, redemption, give grace, and normalize mistakes, man. Some people out here making mistakes, and then people above them acting like they're not perfect, bro. Yeah, I was the person. I was walking around with the magnifying glass. Ooh, look what you did. You messed up. I've made even worse mistakes in my life. So now I'm here righting my wrongs. But y'all, ultimately between success and failure in leadership, success and failure in our lives, where we apply the most energy. At the end of the day, that's all it is. Wherever you apply the most energy. That's it. Any questions, class? Anybody, any questions? Can I help anybody with anything? How can I assist somebody today? Because I want us to make sure that we really understand that success is attainable in our lives. Success is truly attainable, right? We all can get to the top of the mountain. We all can get here. We just have to wake up every boom, write goals, write a to-do list, listen to a podcast. Success goes upward. Why is it going upward? Because it's an intentional effort. This one down here, family, what I want us to understand is this. And my dad said this to me one time, a long time ago. Failure really doesn't require effort. It just requires the opposite. Failure ultimately requires not trying, not reading, not watching interviews, not doing research. That'll get us to failure. So that's my question. How do you research interviews? How do you interviews? Well, one thing that I've done is just thinking about people who are successful. So you can go based on the people that you always see, you know, your Steve Jobs, your Bill Gates, Dr. Martin Luther King. Find somebody who you deem as successful and then watch some interviews on that individual. For me personally, I've been going back, watching some ESPN documentaries. I was watching the one on Shaq and Penny Hardaway, and seeing why they broke up and why that demise took place. Of course, I'm watching The Last Dance with Michael Jordan. And so watching those interviews have been beneficial to me. But in terms of specific practice or in terms of tangible takeaways, I've been watching interviews like Warren Buffett, because we know he's a big financial guy. And Warren Buffett, one of the most influential things I heard about Warren Buffett, it was two. And let me know if this is helpful. Right, yes, this is helpful. All right, no, you didn't answer my question if it's not. But Warren Buffett, one thing about him was he reads 12 hours a day, I believe is what's said about Warren Buffett. 12 hours a day. 12. So therefore, when he makes a decision, the decision is being made based off 12 hours of information received. If he made a decision that day based on what he read, if we multiply 12 times 6 or 12 times 7, then that decision is being made based on that information that he's read. Okay, so that's Warren Buffett. One other thing that Warren Buffett said is if anyone wants to instantly increase their net worth, instantly, he said you can do two things: improve verbal communication. So it was improve your communication. So speaking and writing, two ways to increase your net worth. And then we know definitely reading is impactful. But as you watch interviews and as you watch different things and read different articles, begin to think about how does that apply for you. Reading 12 hours a day might not be applicable for you right now, but reading 12 pages is something we all can do. It's just cutting out some things that might not be as beneficial. Helpful? Helpful. Let me know if that's helpful or not. And anybody else, if you have any questions or anything like that, I would encourage you just to drop it down in the chat. I'm going to hang out a little bit longer. Want to make sure that if anybody has any questions, or Coach Burnett, how are you doing, sir? Just wrapping up here, just opened it up for questions. Coach, today I was talking about, are we leading with a magnifying glass or are we leading with a mirror? I've not always been a great speaker. And honestly, I'm always trying to figure ways to improve my message and improve to make my messages more impactful and more efficient. So the answer to your question is no, I have not always been a great speaker, but I've studied great speakers, and I've talked with people like Inky Johnson and hear how they tailor a message and what preparation looks like for them. So that's helped me in my preparation because I've studied speakers because I want to improve in speaking. So if there's something or area that you want to improve on, I would just suggest that for that particular area that you continue to research those people. And by way of doing that, I feel that that will assist you in that way. But if there's no other questions, I'm going to go ahead and cut this one off. But I'll be here tomorrow. Well, no, not tomorrow. Tomorrow's Saturday. But Monday, I will be here once again, going live I've been doing this and I pop it up on YouTube. So if you missed anything, I just encourage you to go to youtube.com/Jonathan Jones Speaks. And there you can find that content as well as other content that I've shared. Coach, I'm definitely going to hit you up. Want to definitely circle back on our conversation that we had. But until next time, my friends, my name is Jonathan Jones, and I serve and support student athletes by way of helping them as they transition from high school to college or college to the professional arena, just assisting them with tangible strategies, tangible takeaways, and things that they can utilize for their own success. If you want more information on me, feel free to go to jonathanjonespeaks.com. And then from there,